Hey guys, it's Steamy here with HobbiesofaMan. Once again, and today we're doing another Dandadan review. Today we're looking at Arc 5, which is chapters 28 through 50, the Cursed House arc, or if you look at the anime, technically it's called the Evil Eye arc, I guess. But it's the Cursed House arc. It's when they go to Gigi's home, right? So the author is Yakinobu Tatsu, the publisher is Viz Media, and obviously they do this through the Shonen Jump imprint. The demographic obviously is shonen, since it's a Shonen Jump title. And the genres here are urban fantasy, sci-fi, action, and rom-com. And this one particularly has a lot of urban fantasy vibes to it, right? But the ending is very, very, very sci-fi. And adaptations-wise, it does have one. It's in season 2. It's basically the bulk of the season, I would say, because the Evil Eye is the first 3 episodes. Then the House arc actually goes through until like episode 6, which is half of the series. And then they have other stuff going on after that. And a rating for this is a 5 out of 5. I really enjoy this arc. I think it's quite good. The premise is that Momo's old friend, Gigi, comes over because he needs help with his haunted house. And so Momo's grandma, Seiko, decided to bring him in and will send Momo and Okarun to go investigate for her and go with Gigi to go see what's going on, what they can do about this. But it turns out that they end up kind of being way over their head, right? And it ends up being a pretty fun arc, but it is a bit difficult for the characters, right? So it's pretty good. It overall brings them a lot of growth, right? The plotline opens up with Gigi arriving. He's Momo's old crush, like I said, and Okarun gets jealous of this. He's like, oh, Momo, has this cool guy that's her friend, and why is she friends with me, right? He kind of feels insecure about himself now that Gigi's around, right? And Gigi explains that his house is haunted, his family got hurt, his parents almost tried to kill themselves because of a possession, basically. And so he will be staying with Seiko and Momo for a few days, for a while, really, until his parents get better, right? Then Ira shows up, and she thinks that Ragnarok is coming. I'm not really sure why. She's just crazy. And so she goes away to get prepared, which leads her to not being in this arc at all, which is a pretty fun concept. I think it works out really nicely because, Ira gets to show off that she's a weirdo, and then she doesn't end up causing any issues with her characters as they develop this new dynamic, right? It opens up space for Gigi and Okarun to be the main characters to interact with as readers, and it doesn't balance out the romantic dynamic, right? Like, this is a love triangle. With Ira, it would be more like Gigi probably pairs up with Ira and Momo pairs up with Okarun, and so the tension would disappear, right? And so by removing Ira, we really get to explore this love triangle issue, right? And Tatsu does a pretty good job with that. So Gigi can see spirits now, and a yokai stalks him, and this yokai is this nasty-looking kid. He's like a very stretched-out person. He has a big, blue eye or purple eye on his head, and he has a horrible haircut. And he stalks Gigi. He is connected to Gigi. He follows him around, right? And Momo is tasked with exercising Gigi's house. But before they go, Gigi and the team have a run-in with this character called Taro, who is a living biological model of a man, and he has he doesn't have running powers. He just runs a lot. And they initially think he has a golden ball, but it ends up being a Christmas ornament that was attached to him. And they chase him, and he ends up being a Chekhov's gun. He becomes useful later because he can break apart into pieces, right? And he is in love with this other biological model whose name is Hana, who is a female biological model, but she's only from waist up. So I'm not really sure how that works, but he's in love with her, and she was thrown in the trash, and so he was chasing after her, trying to find her, right? And because he's in love with her, Okarun understands what this character is going through. And because Taro is a runner, and so is Okarun, he finds some level of, attachment to Taro, or to, at least understanding with Taro over this stuff, because it's kind of the same stuff that we see Okarun dealing with Momo, right? And Hana and Taro join the Seiko household, or the Ayase household, sorry. Momo and Seiko, their last name is Ayase. And then they go to Gigi's town, which is like a hot spring town. And when they get to his house, they have to climb all the way up there because they live in a mountain village. And it turns out that they take a train there. So this is kind of like a Harry Potter moment. They're sharing candy, they're telling stories. And we learn about the Tsuchinoko, which is like a fat snake yokai that is kind of like Dunsparce, the Pokemon. And Gigi and Okarun become friends. They get to the village, there's a lot of hot springs, and Momo and the boys inspect the house, but nothing about it screams haunted. They don't think that there's anything there, and so Momo's like, okay, we'll figure it out later, and she goes to the hot spring, and Gigi and Okarun stay at the house, and they play soccer with each other, they become friends, and then they get kind of trapped with the people that rent the house to Gigi's parents, which are called the Kido family. And Momo is then attacked at the hot springs by the male half of the Kido family, where Okarun and Gigi are trapped by the female half, right? And Momo is saved by Turbo Granny. They were going to, assault her. And Turbo Granny's luck powers come in, and she drops the bathhouse on them. And so she and Momo can escape. And she mentions that the house that Gigi lives in is soaked in human blood, which is something that Momo had not noticed, right? And then Momo goes to the Tsuchinoko shrine to see it, where she meets Manjiro, who is a young priest who doesn't want to be a priest, he wants to be a YouTuber. And this is another Chekhov's gun, because Manjiro is being trained by Momo's grandma as a spirit medium, right? So she goes back to the house to find the boys, and she finds them being beat up by the Kidos. She tries to fight the Kidos off, and the Kidos then, reveal themselves to be the evil characters for the arc, and they explain that they've been sacrificing people for centuries in order to appease the great volcano god that controls the volcano, right? It's actually like a serpent or a snake that controls the volcano, right? Somehow, all of the characters end up underground. We have this like Inception house thing going on, and it turns out that the snake god that they worshipped is actually a Mongolian death worm, but really it just looks like Shai Hulud, from Dune, and that's their snake god, right? It attacks with these psychic waves that try to make people try to suicide, and Gigi gets protected by the evil eye, who has similar powers. And the death worm is too strong, so Gigi and the evil eye boy become one. Gigi allows the boy to possess him, and then he goes to the bottom of the house structure in order to find them. And he tells them, "We will play together." So they become one. They become like a Power Ranger basically, and he gets possessed. Then the team is shocked by the worm. It shoots this weird goop everywhere, which is kind of like glue. And Gigi can beat it, but he wants to kill humans instead, because the evil eye is a manifestation of hatred towards people, because there's just a bunch of boys that were being sacrificed by humans, right? And so all of these little boys, all of their desires for revenge consolidated into the evil eye spirit, and now is physical thanks to Gigi allowing it to possess him, right? And he has barrier powers, as well as like a soccer ball that he creates out of the spirits. And he's basically like Spiritomb. Like, he controls a multitude of spirits, and all of these spirits are evil or have some desire for revenge. But one of them is not necessarily evil. And it's kind of like Pandora's Box too, I guess. But it's kind of like Spiritomb from Pokemon. It has the same kind of background, right? And the worm gets scared. It tries to use a poison attack. And as Gigi's about to attack Momo, Okarun arrives. And so Okarun and Gigi are fighting now. And they manage to escape. They manage to force Momo to go back above ground. And she promises that they will save each other once she gets help, right? Momo burns the house down so that firefighters can show up, so that the Mongolian death worm comes out into the sun, so that it dries up. And Okurun and Gigi have another round of fighting where Gigi turns out to be much, much stronger than Okurun, but Okurun is so pissed off that he manages to at least ward him off for a while, right? And then he gets depowered because he's gone all out twice already, and he goes to find Turbo Granny. They both get stuck in the glue that the death worm, sent out everywhere. And above ground, the worm appears, it gets burned by the sun and dies, and then the Kitos also end up being alive, even though they were eaten by the worm earlier in the story, and the volcano immediately starts to erupt, right? The city starts evacuating, and Momo grabs the worm corpse, and she forces it to become a giant hose by forcing it onto a geyser, and she uses it to stimmy the lava flow, right? But the Kitos fight her. They say that that's not the right way to use it, and Manjiro appears to help. Then the Evil Eye shows up, and this is bad for everyone because the Evil Eye hates everything, and so he's going to fight all of them, right? So Momo, Manjiro, and the Kitos team up. They try to take down Gigi, but it's not really working at all because he's so strong. And then reinforcements arrive. Peeny Weenie shows up. Taro and Seiko show up, and of course they show up in a spaceship being driven by Chiquitita, who is Peeny Weenie's little son, who is feeling better because he can drink milk from a cow, which helps him with his space leukemia, right? And so Taro ends up being turned into a barrier that traps Gigi inside of himself, and so Gigi can't exert his powers outside of Taro, but because it is a mountain yokai, he's so much stronger than a city yokai, and this means that he burns through the barrier very fast, right? Chiquitita in the spaceship helps control the worm hose in order to get the lava to stop, and then Momo rushes back to the house in order to try to save Okurun. She thinks that she's too late, but thankfully he's alive with Turbo Granny, and they have this little loving moment with each other before they go back home, and they try to exorcise the Evil Eye, but it doesn't work out, and so they have a post-mission dinner that is very fun, very enjoyable, and Ira comes back. It turns out that Gigi and the Evil Eye have a Ranma condition where if they get struck by water, depending on the temperature, something happens to them, right? So I think if it's cold water, Gigi turns into the Evil Eye, and if it's hot water, the Evil Eye turns back into Gigi, which is the same condition that Ranma has in Ranma 1/2, which is that if he gets hit by cold water, he turns into a girl, right? Which is really funny. I love this. And Seiko apologizes to the kids for putting them in danger, and then they go off to see Gigi's parents at the hospital, and the Kitos are revealed to be Subterraneans, which is another alien group, and that's really cool. The Subterraneans don't look like you would expect them to look, which is like mole people or lizard people. They actually look more like bugs, kind of, which I guess is kind of like a mantis being reference, but very cool reveal. However, they don't end up being relevant for a while, so we'll see when they come back, right? In terms of characters, we have Momo and Okurun's romance plot strengthening. We get the introduction of a rival for Okurun and a character that will hopefully help him grow because Gigi ends up functioning as multiple roles as the only other male character, that interacts with them regularly. Okurun's training is working. He is developing himself into a stronger man, and this is allowing him to channel Turbo Granny's powers better. Gigi gets introduced as a childhood friend, a crush, a spiritual genius, a very empathetic person, and foil for Okurun, but they don't have an antagonistic relationship like most rival characters do. This is a very supportive friendship between the two, right? And of course, the Evil Eye, once he joins forces with Gigi, is very badass, except for the fact that he wears these stupid tidy whities, and it makes him look really stupid, right? But overall, the character itself is really badass, right? Then we have Manjiro, who's Seiko's apprentice. We have Taro and Hana. We have Peeny Weenie, who returns, and we have Chiquitita, who gets finally introduced, and he looks really cute, which is really great. And then we get introduced to the Kito family, who all look like ugly bastards, and it turns out that they're not actually humans, that they're wearing alien costumes or whatever, right? Which is pretty cool. In terms of world building, we get mostly a supernatural story this time. Mountain yokai, Shinto stuff, a Mongolian death worm, and then to end it, we have the Subterraneans, which is more of a sci-fi concept. And they're not lizard people. They look more like bugs to me. So like I said, I think they're mantises. But the lizard people thing is also, a concept that gets talked about a lot in sci-fi and like the phenomenon conversations, right? In terms of artwork and fan service, we have amazing artwork here. Lots of cutesy, chibi type moments that I think Tatsu really does well. There's no real fan service though. I mean, there are some moments where Momo is naked or she's in the bath or whatever, but those are not fan service moments because they're shown as particularly bad. She is put in positions where characters are going to assault her. That is not fan service. That is, high stakes storytelling, right? So you might not like that. It is what it is. I think the anime drags out these moments a lot more than the manga. So if you don't like the anime because of this, you might prefer reading the manga instead, where everything feels a lot shorter, right? And also you can read through it faster if necessary, right? If you're also someone that really likes, very hot dudes, you'll probably like this because Gigi is particularly naked, or is practically naked the whole time. And Okarun also is mostly naked. And in his Turbo Granny form, he's quite muscular, right? So if you like that sort of stuff, you'll like this. I'm sure a lot of fans of sports manga will like this. And then ratings-wise, a 5 out of 5 for me. I thought it was really, really great. But I think that my enjoyment is partially tainted by the fact that I watched the anime before this, and I really like the anime adaptation of it. I think it looks really, really good. The animation's really fluid, and it's quite enjoyable. The only issue that is, that I see in the anime is the way that they drag out those bath scenes unnecessarily. Whereas in the manga, I feel like some of the scenes don't work out as well as they do in anime just because there's no motion, right? Like some of the fight scenes happen a bit too quickly, in my opinion, in the manga. So, I'm not really sure what I would give this, like depending on what I'm reading or which one I was exposed to first, I would have given it slightly different scores. But I think that it does average out to a 5 out of 5 for me because ultimately, even with some of the issues, I just really love this arc, right? So there you go. It was a nearly perfect arc for me. I will give it a 5 out of 5 just to make it simpler. And I really, really had a great time with this. So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And let me know what you thought down below. Thank you guys once again, and see you guys later.